I assume that the most of you have heard of Split, Dubrovnik, Zagreb. But if you happen to travel to Osijek, is there any image that springs to mind? Let me fill you in a little. My name is Tomislav, and in this video I'll take you to the east of Croatia. Whether you're coming for a business trip or just leisure, I'll give you a few tips on what to see and do in your free time. You will probably want to include some sightseeing, right? That's why I'll start with showing you some landmarks you don't want to miss. The first one is the oldest preserved part of Osijek, which is called Tvrđa. Yes, it's a real word, it's not a tongue twister, and it means the fortress. As its name suggests, Tvrđa really functioned as a fortress, although it was actually a combination of a military fortification and strictly organized civil life. The most significant parts were put up in the 18th century in the Baroque style.
The aim of the fortress was to serve as a stronghold in case the Ottomans decided to attack the Habsburg lands again.
Originally, 4 gates were leading to the fortress, but the only one that has been preserved is the water gate behind me. For a long time, Tvrđa was something like a separate town within Osijek. There used to be 7 barracks here, together with some other military objects like military hospital and a few warehouses. However, throughout history, the most of these buildings have changed their original purpose.
Nowadays, you'll find 2 galleries there, along with 3 museums, 3 high schools, a college, the state archives, and other cultural institutions. Throughout history, the fortress has been greatly transformed, but some parts can still reveal the atmosphere from 300 years ago.
And in case these 2 structures behind me seem familiar, you are probably right. You can probably recognize them from the Croatian banknote of 200 kunas. It's interesting that in the 18th and the 19th century, ordinary citizens couldn't even walk freely around Tvrđa at night.
There was a special penalty for everyone who would get caught in these streets at night, regardless if they were sober or drunk. Only the soldiers were excluded from paying the fine, which was soon nicknamed the drunkard tax. If you wonder why ordinary citizens felt the urge to visit the fortress after dusk, the reason lies in many inns and taverns, primarily open to serve Austrian soldiers. However, ordinary citizens also loved alcohol, music, and playing cards. The 2 brothels seemed to attract them as well. In spite of the strict rules, the authorities obviously didn't mind keeping everyone entertained. Even nowadays, especially on Saturday nights, the fortress becomes a hot spot with clubs and bars. Luckily, you don't have to worry about being fined, but don't be surprised if you run into some drunk people. Yeah, it's one of the things that hasn't changed for 300 years. There are also 2 Roman Catholic churches within the fortress. And across the Drava River, you can discover the remains of another 18th century fortress, which used to serve as a quarantine. The most of Osijek streets were traced during the Habsburg rule. The most fruitful period for the town's development was the time after the establishment of Austro-Hungarian monarchy in 1867. Back then, the most representative buildings were constructed in today's center of Osijek. During that golden age, Osijek was a multi-ethnic town, which used to develop along the lines of other European towns, with influences mostly filtering down from Vienna and Budapest. This landmark also dates back to that period.
Right now, I'm standing in front of the tallest structure in Osijek, the cathedral of Saints Peter and Paul.
If you happen to wonder what a cathedral is, it actually means a substitute cathedral. Why substitute? Because Osijek is not the center of the diocese, the nearby town of Žarko is. However, don't let the terminology confuse you. Everyone in Osijek just calls it the cathedral. While you're still near the cathedral, it's worth to take a few shots of the town's main square, visit the Capuchin church from the 18th century, or take a ride on the tram. If you're looking for souvenirs and gifts, you can also find them in this area.
This is European Avenue, and in this street you can see some of the finest examples of secession or Art Nouveau style in Croatia.
All houses on this side of the avenue used to be privately owned, commissioned by rich industrialists and lawyers in the beginning of the 20th century. Once you're done with the sightseeing, the best place to relax is here, on the promenade along the Drava River. Locals love to stroll, cycle, or slowly sip coffee along its banks. The river also offers nice Instagram spots, especially from the left bank. Along the river, you can run into a reconstructed water mill, a ferry that can take you to the town zoo, or a sandy beach which is called Copacabana. Yeah, it's a kind of a joke, but the name is official.
This suspension bridge is one of the symbols of Osijek. Its official name is the Bridge of Youth, but nobody calls it that way. Everybody calls it just the pedestrian bridge, as naturally it's open only for pedestrians and for cyclists.
If you'd like more places to stroll or relax, there are several nice parks between the fortress and the center of the town. If you're into jogging, you might also explore the green area across the river, where a nice tartan track is. Now, to explore the sites which are more recent, you might consider to take a walk to here.
This monument is a tribute to one event that took place at this crossroads during the Croatian War of Independence. Its main hero is the red Fiat behind me.
The red Fiat was destroyed by a tank of the Yugoslav army at the beginning of the breakup of former Yugoslavia. However, you can notice that the roles on the monument are reversed. Symbolically, it shows that the weaker Croatian side turned out to be the winner in the end. In summer 2018, it even looked like this, celebrating Croatia's second place at the Football World Cup.
The crossroads itself has been quite notorious. And right now I'm going to tell you one more story which is associated with this place. This little chapel tells a story of unfortunate love. It might be described as Osijek version of Romeo and Juliet. In the 18th century, during a curfew, a 15-year-old boy was caught in the streets of Osijek and accused of a murder which took place on the same night. His name was Josip Čizmarević and he was a cobbler's son. Although he had a strong alibi, he didn't want to reveal where he really was that night.
The truth was that he had spent the night with a girl from a respectable and wealthy family. However, he was keen on protecting the girl's honor and didn't say a word. When the girl finally confessed where he had been, it was already too late. He was hanged near this place. It was the girl's father who eventually had this chapel put up in memory of this honorable boy. When it comes to museums, you can spend some time at the Museum of Slavonia, Slavonia being a toponym for Eastern Croatia. Then there is a more modern archaeological museum, the Gloria Maris Museum dedicated to marine and freshwater life, and the Museum of Fine Arts on European Avenue. If you spot this sign, the Museum of Taste, you should know that it's not a museum at all, but a high-quality restaurant. This brings us to the most delicious of all topics, gastronomy. The cuisine of Slavonia might be a surprise, especially in comparison to the Adriatic coast and its healthy Mediterranean diet. Unlike the coast, people in eastern Croatia like spicy food, and you can sate your appetite at several good restaurants which offer traditional specialties. Wine lovers can taste best local wines at several restaurants, but they should also pay attention to two wine festivals. The first one takes place in winter. It's called Wine Os and it's held indoors. The second spectacle takes place in summer. It's called the Festival of Wine and Arts and it's held outdoors in the fortress. Concerts and exhibitions are its essential part. Beer lovers, on the other hand, shouldn't feel discriminated, as they also have a beer festival in September. The most recognized local brand of beer is Osječko. Before you start browsing the net for more events, let me recommend a few. If you are fond of vintage markets, you should come by Antiques Fair, which takes place on the first Saturday of every month. Despite the name, you should know that locals often visit the fair only to equip themselves with fresh homemade delicacies and wine from nearby villages. Yeah, lots of events center around food here. If you'd like to experience the town in a lively atmosphere, you should check Osijek Summer Night, a festival which is held on the last Friday during summer months. That's an opportunity to enjoy concerts in the open air and even to dance in the streets. Pannonian Challenge is an outstanding extreme sports event which also comprises concerts and parties. If you're not that skilled at skateboarding, inline skating, or BMX biking, you can always just watch the competitions. The festival called Osijek Summer of Culture is known for outdoor theater performances and music shows. Just keep in mind that the most of the program is in Croatian language. The same applies to regular theater performances at the Croatian National Theatre all year round. December is reserved for the Advent Fair, known for mulled wine and local delicacies. It's charming even without snow, but snow can certainly make it a delightful scene. Sports enthusiasts should also look for this outdoor ice skating rink. Osijek is not a particularly big city. Its population is about 83,000, so events like these can help you experience the town's most cheerful side. Even if there are no special events, you can always just do what the locals do. For instance, sip coffee on an open terrace. Watch an international match of Football Club Osijek on a big screen in the fortress. Or rent a bike and explore more than 40 kilometers of separate bike tracks across the town. Some can even take you further afield. Before you start browsing accommodation, you should know that the prices in eastern Croatia are much more reasonable than those on the coast. Thus, you might want to treat yourself with a 4-star comfort. The Hotel Osijek is the biggest in the town. Even if you don't stay there, it's worth to visit its lovely pastry shop and an upscale restaurant overlooking the river. The Waldinger Hotel is more intimate, but it also has an excellent pastry shop right across the street. The Zoo Hotel offers nice views of the town, but don't let the name trick you. It's not a hotel for animals. It got its name just because the zoo is its only neighbor. Even if you stick to a few countries on your itinerary and Osijek is not your final destination, it's a convenient place to spend the night. From there, you can easily make your ways to Hungary, Serbia and Bosnia, even the Adriatic coast. You can also explore the region of Baranja, which is going to be the topic of my next video. So, tune in, subscribe and find out more about Croatia off the beaten path.